I'll wait a few seconds here before we start our little episode of madness. Welcome to another episode of Psykos Platters, always powered by coffee, each and every time. That is the mighty Psycho promise to you. I'm not going to beat it over people's heads. This is just, I did kind of give a little bit of warning that I was going to do this video. And I know that it's Saturday night, and I also know that I think there's other things going on. There's probably a record auction, and Royce was doing a show too. So I can understand if people don't see this right away. Worst comes to worst, if you kindly just would, if you end up watching this later, that's great. So I'm not going to try to beat a dead horse over this, but just let me explain, please, if that's okay with you, as to why I titled it this way. So as everybody knows, I've been dealing with the crutch issue because my left knee, is bad. It's bone on bone, and it's getting worse. Well, finally, ladies and gentlemen, this coming Thursday is surgery day. Yeah, it's surgery day. I have been waiting for this for nearly 11 months. I'm not kidding. This took forever to get this going. All right. So the thing is, and the reason why I'm mentioning this will be explained shortly. Due to so at work, we deal with a third-party source, and maybe some of you people that work out there have to deal with that at your companies. I hate it because they drag and drag and drag. Now, I know you're asking, well, Psycho, what are you getting at? I did post a GoFundMe. Now, I'm not buying a scooter. I'm not buying records in my GoFundMe. This is strictly for medical expenses, and bills, all right? Because here's the truth. I've always told you the truth, and I'm going to tell you the truth now some more. The third-party disability company that I'm talking about, and thank you very much, Dave. Always welcome. Always glad to see you here. So the third-party disability company, don't leave, please. I know I'm big bored. Give me 2 minutes, and we'll be off this topic for now. And so they like to drag their feet. All right. And because of that, you see, I do have partial, partial disability, short-term disability insurance. All right. Which is supposed to pay 50% of my wage. All right. The problem is that years ago, when I had my double hernia, surgery almost 5 years back, now I didn't do GoFundMe for that one because, well, at that time, Jessica died, my dad was going to die, and I did not want to overload people, and I was able to get through that one, all right? The economy, of course, was a lot different in 2019, too. 2023 we're in, and I know the economy's tough. I know it is. What's that song? Things are tough all over. Thank you so much, Dave. I think it's Dave, right? I'm out of it. I know you're in Texas, obviously, because of the title. And by the way, you did a real good video within the last week. I got to see some of it. But so the thing is that we really don't know when those payments are going to kick in. All right. I'm thinking it's going to be several weeks after the surgery. My surgery is scheduled the 21st. I have to be in Springfield, Missouri on the 19th. This is required. So yes, I'm sorry, but I will put this in the comments later, although I guess I probably could put a banner on here too, couldn't I? Let's see if I can get away with that here. Let's see. So forgive me a second. So what I'm getting at is that I have posted a GoFundMe, and it is under my name. All right. So it's under post-surgery emergency fund. That's what it's at. And you know, guys, I'm not, my pride is almost gone in my life. Okay. And so I just ask kindly. All right. If you can, that's great. Just like I put, if you can, that's great. And if you can't, well wishes and prayers are always welcomed. All right. That I will tell you. So, and yes, thank you. But yeah, there's the commercial for now. Okay. Like I said, I'll put that also in the comments later, but that's why I'm putting it on the banner. But like I said, anything is welcome. Now, done with the commercial, all right? Thank you, though, for your patience and time, always. So I hope everybody has had a good Saturday night. Saturday night. Yeah, remember that one from 76? Roller Mania, ladies and gentlemen, Roller Mania. So I have some things we can talk about. I do actually have some, let's see, I picked up a cheap album several weeks ago that I forgot to show. I have a couple albums that I got when I sold my last box of records. He always lets me go through the bargain bin. And so I did. I found two. I'll show you those in a little bit too. And then I was gifted with a box set. So I'll show you all that stuff. But so let's see. Let me try to think here a minute. Has anything interesting shot across in the music news? I still like that new Rolling Stones song, Angry. That's a good tune. I will be buying, if it won't be immediate, unless somebody gifts me that too, but Hackney Diamonds, I will get that and review it eventually. Jukebox from Hell. All right, Jukebox from Hell. We finished 2 seasons. We have 20 episodes. If you have, maybe you missed an episode, maybe you don't give a shit, I don't know. But if you're bored and you want to check out, and I know sometimes I get a little wordy and lengthy, but that's Psycho, right? And I usually try to jam the Jukebox from Hells with facts and a little bit of amusing and stuff like that. The last one, of course, we got done doing was from 1988, Blue Oyster Cult's album Imaginos, which you guys can see what that one is. Season 3 will probably be starting probably around Halloween is my guess. I know what it's going to be, but you guys don't know what it's going to be. And that's intentional because I just am going to say this. I don't really have a lot of vinyl from this person, or CD for that matter, because it seems to be semi-hard to find. But I have done a deep dive. I went down a rabbit hole that maybe I'm going to regret later with this artist. And have any of you people seen the show Community? Do you remember the show Community? Troy and Abed in the morning. Well, Abed, okay, because he was doing he was in a film class for film school because he wanted to be a director. He thought his whole life was in episodes, right? So he major marathoned like all the Nicolas Cage films, and his mind was mush when he got to class. Well, my mind might end up being mush by the time I get done with this artist's repertoire. I am going through every album. I think there's at least a dozen. I'm working on number 3. But I'm doing this for you guys. I'm taking the bullet and the grenade for you because I know a lot of you people are going to roll your eyes and go, oh, Jesus, why did Psycho pick this one? This is too easy. I know you're going to say. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not. I dare you to go listen to, like I said, I think it's 10 albums from this artist. I know it's not more than a dozen. And I'm like, I would almost, what do they call it in not Toy Story, Christmas Story, Double Dog Dare Ya? If you guys can get through what I'm going to get through, there ought to be medals, there ought to be t-shirts made for us that can put up with this artist's music. And that will be the start of season 3. I also got 3 to 4 more LPs in the queue. I got some more requests as well. We will be going through those. And I love doing Jukebox from Hells. I think they're fun. And of course, if anybody's got any ideas for any episodes for Jukebox from Hell, I'll type them in. I would love to see with the 7 people here anyway. Or with the 10 people here, excuse me, it just jumped to 10 people. So if you guys got any future suggestions for Jukebox from Hell, gladly stick them in the comments. Now, what is the criteria for Jukebox from Hell? A, the critics either hated it. B, the fans either hated it. Or C, it charted really, really low, or maybe not at all. We've had ones that didn't chart, but yet they were pleasantly surprised. Like, okay, spoiler alert, episode 19 that I did of Jukebox was on the 1981 album from the Village People's Renaissance. Now, that was requested. I'm only going to mention, he doesn't want his last name mentioned, but his first name is Scott. He does not have a YouTube channel, exactly, but he's one of my buddies, okay, from Illinois. And so he's like, you ought to do a Village People record. And I'm going, I knew exactly which one. And I'm going to tell you something. Go listen to that episode of Jukebox from Hell after you listen to that Village People Renaissance album on YouTube. And I think you guys are going to go, what the hell? There is a lot of surprises in that album. There really is a lot of surprises. There we go. Okay, so what did Psycho get gifted? I am a big fan of this label. If I was a rich person, like I had money to burn, I would get every release, every legitimate release, mostly 45s or 78s. There was only a handful of LPs made during that time, from about 1952, if I remember correctly, to 1966, when the Sam Phillips version of the label shut down. Yeah, you know where I'm going here. And then a couple years later, Shelby Singleton picked up the ball. But we're talking about Sun. That's right. Look, where rock and roll was born. Hey, Mick, good to see you here, as always. But, I mean, you've got 4 CDs here. Now, you've got some of you have the obvious standard hits. Okay, there's even an Elvis song or 2 in here, amazingly enough. I'm surprised they were able to free it up back then. This is not a new set, by the way. Let me see here if I can show you. I'll show you. Here's like what the CDs look like. Okay, and then here's your booklet. Let's see if I can find an interesting photograph that maybe you haven't seen before. All right, how about this one? I hope I'll zoom this in. This is Carl Perkins with Sam Phillips. All right, so fun stuff. I really cannot wait to listen to this. We have the greeting committee, of course. Everybody here in the house. We like that. But yeah, I mean, you have your typical suspects. You got Elvis, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Roy Orbison. Okay, I love Sun. I love Sun. It's one of the best damn labels that ever existed. Okay, I think, truthfully, I am passionate about eventually, if I could ever complete 2 other labels, Chess, which I know would be impossible. That one would be more impossible than Sun. And all the Apple records on Apple. I've got a handful you guys have never seen that I bought 20, 25 years ago. Maybe when I get done healing a little bit and for my surgery, I'll try to get back on here maybe. I'm going to be stuck in this place for 2 weeks. I am not allowed to drive a car. It is, thank God it's my non-driving foot. Because if it was my driving foot, it'd be 4 weeks. I could not put up with I'm going to have to be going to therapy anyway, starting on my birthday, which is Thursday, September 27th. I've been singing for a while now. Happy birthday to me. I get a new knee. Yeah, I'll be 56. I'm an old bastard. I really am. But you know what? God obviously has a reason for me still being here. Maybe it's to entertain you guys and entertain my kids and my grandkids. Boy, oh boy, was it a busy day today. I ended up meeting 3 of my kids out of the 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grands. Yeah. So anyways, so you got here, besides those people, you happen to also have Charlie Rich. You've got the Prisonaires. You've got Billy Emerson. And I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to look for oddball ones. Malcolm Yelvington. There's a name for you. Drinking Wine Speedy. Jerry Lee Lewis did a good cover of that. Ray Smith and Carl Mann and others. Fun little box set. You want to hear a true story? This just came to me while I'm in my memories. Sometimes I get weird things that come. So, Goldmine Magazine, back when Goldmine Magazine was really good in the 1980s. I started reading maybe about late 79. That's when I found out about Goldmine's existence, because I had a record store open in town, and lo and behold, that I was able to start buying Goldmine. And then maybe you remember Discoveries too. That's another cool one that they shut down. That one depressed me. I like Discoveries. Good work was still being done at Sun as late as the late 60s. Gene C. Ronnie Hopper Powell, PTA was recorded at Sun Records. That I did not know. I know it went under what? Was it the Plantation Records logo? Because that was attached, I think, somehow to Sun. I've got I don't quite know who Paul Martin is, but I found a signed LP, and it showed, it was on Plantation, but it also had like Shelby, it's like the Shelby Singleton of things. He had Plantation, Sun when he bought it. I want to say 1969, I think he might have bought Sun. I could be wrong on that. But so the thing is that Jan Wenner has been good. Oh, is that right? I wonder why. Anybody know why? Yeah, because he should have been booted out a long-ass time ago. Long-ass time. And Tim, I do want to say something to you publicly. I really apologize about the last broadcast. I'm sorry you got upset and left. Okay. I'm not going to, I had a discussion. We'll just say that. I had a discussion. So, anyways, so yeah, good. Maybe we'll finally maybe we can get the Monkees, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Steppenwolf, Foreigner, Journey, there's a shit ton, Procol Harum, I don't know. There's a whole bunch that deserve to go in. Maybe we'll get them now. But, so I'm sorry. You know me. I got ADD, ADHD, all right? So, true story from the mid-1980s, if I remember correctly. Goldmine Magazine. Like I said, yes, Johnny Rivers does belong there. For a lot of things. Secret Asian Man? No, I'm kidding. I know that's how I sing it. I don't know why. And of course, slow dancing, swaying to the music. You know, the only thing I don't like about that song is that fucking annoying cricket chirping. It's extended just a little longer than it should have. It's like, okay, fine, I get it. We're outdoors and you're slow dancing. It's like, just snip. Okay, back to the story. So, oh boy. So, Goldmine Records, I got to contact 2 musicians through Goldmine because they sold records. One of the first ones was Joey Wirtz. Now, I don't expect you people to know who the hell that is, but Joey Wirtz was a member of Bill Haley and the Comets, if I remember correctly, in 1961-62 to the mid-60s. So he's on the tail end of the Warner Brothers stuff, and then Bill landed on a handful of American labels doing onesies. I think Josie was one, and there's a couple other ones. And then by 65-66, he was in Mexico, Bill Haley was, because due to the tax issues he had at that time. Yeah, see, look at P.F. I don't think P.F. Sloan is in the Hall of Fame. You know, I have a P.F. Sloan story, too. It's a weird one, but just let me get done with the other story first. So, Joey Wirtz, I got to contact him. At one point, I'm so pissed off. You see, he sent me an autograph, and I had it, and I'm like, I don't know where the hell it is. I know I had it up to when I came here to Rogers in 07. So I don't know where the hell that went. Oh, Tom, thanks for doing that. Seriously. It is not a bad album. I was super pleasantly surprised, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't remember if I said it in the video or not, but originally when I bought that, I only liked 4 songs. I originally was going to be a smartass and say, would have made a strong EP, and it still maybe really could, but by playing it again, see, this is the thing with us record collectors, okay? You got to keep open ears, open mind, right? So you may hear an album the first time, and you're like, but is it because we have a preconceived notion of what that music release is going to be at, you know, the way we see it or hear it or think it? Or is it just something totally different? This is the reason why before I do a new vinyl or CD review, I listen to that album 3 times. That's my minimum, because I want to get it set. I know, right? I know. I'm like, wait a minute. That's it. And then remember, there's one song on there, it's war related, that, damn it, if Alice Cooper didn't intentionally swipe the melody for Fireball, his tune Fireball, then I want to hear the excuse, because I'm telling you, the melody between both of them is almost the same. I think it only changes a teensy bit between the two, and I'm going, Alice, did you listen to that Asian album and then go, hey, I know what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to have a song about destruction of the earth by Fireball. I love Fireball. I think that's a kick-ass tune, but I mean, Platinum Platters rebranding after surgery might be in order. Well, Titanium would be. So see, I'm almost a Titanium man. Wasn't that a Paul McCartney song? Magneto or Titanium man. I just don't need to get near any magnets or any body scanners. I think for the rest of my life, if I have to go like into a courthouse or some shit, I have to have either they're going to give me a card, or I have to explain to the security people I have a titanium knee. What is the old? Is it Maris? I'm a little stupid right now. Okay. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Fine and dandy, sweet as candy, but not like Jim Dandy, which that'll be coming up in the second year too. Yes, Titanium Man. Platinum platters I like. That might end up being an offshoot someday, Maris. Thank you. So I did get it right. You know, I'm not real so good anymore. I'm lucky to know my own damn name some days. Also, my store got a giant record collection. Oh, shit. British blues, including a ton of Breeder, Green, Fleetwood Mac stuff. Damn. Shit. What do I got? I don't have much from the Peter Green era. I really don't. I have an import. Damn it, what's the name of it? It's a blue cover 2 album. Put out in the late 60s, if I remember correctly. If I remember right, it was comprised of the stuff that ended up on Blue Horizon. Remember that they it was the stuff I think that they recorded some of it at Chess in Chicago. I could be wrong on this, but that one, and they called it English Rose in the U.S. on, I think it was Epic. Was it Epic or Reprise? Had them for a little bit too. And that's the only Peter Green stuff I've got. I think I showed it many, many moons ago. I have the original 1972 on Columbia, Jeremy Spencer and the Children of God. Yeah, that Cult. I've got that album. Strange album, but I like Jeremy Spencer too. He was the one, if I remember correctly, that would get dressed up in the gold lame Elvis type suit, and he did a song. What the hell was that song? Something about kicking the head. I don't know. I'm not with it here, guys, today. I'm trying, but it's not kicking, so forgive me. Dusty, hello, sir, hello. So back to the original story. I'm sorry. So Joey Wirtz, I got to, I only wrote like 2 letters to him, but I got Joey's autograph. All right, but somehow I can't find it. So then I tripped on one of the guitarists of maybe the founding fathers of rock and roll. He was selling records in Goldmine magazine down in the state of Mississippi. We're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Burleson. Now, if you don't know who Paul Burleson is, that's okay. But I'm going to tell you who Paul Burleson is as far as for importance. Paul Burleson was the guitarist in the Johnny Burnett Trio. You know, Train Kept a Rolling. Oh, yes. And that was a hell of a record. Now, of course, it was, I think, a 10-inch, was it not, when it originally came out, is very pricey. So, yeah, so, very good. So, the thing is, I just wrote to Paul. I said, are you Paul Burleson from the Johnny Burnett Trio? And he wrote back, yes. And I'm going, this is blowing my mind. So I sent him, I said, is it okay if I maybe send you some like typed interview questions? Because, phone bills were very expensive back then, or I would have talked to him on the phone. But this geeky 16, 17-year-old kid, that's all I was. Well, that phone bill for Paul Burleson in Mississippi from Illinois would have been ridiculous. So he said, sure. And the thing is, and once again, this really pisses me off. Somehow, I don't like when I have to have people help me move because things go poof. So Paul was very nice at the time. I get a care package on like a pre-VCLT, if you will, from Paul. And I'm going, what the hell is this? It was about that thick. And then I'm like, what is this? And even my mom is going, who's this Paul guy? I go, he was around when you were a kid. He goes, but you ain't going to know any of this stuff. She never liked her 50s music. I like the 50s music. So I carefully cut the thing open. I open it up. There's a note on top. Okay, 1 page, 2 side. He goes, Paul. He goes, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I want that box eventually. I would love that. Either that or a burned of all of it. I would, oh, yeah. And I do have still some Johnny and Dorsey Burnett, but that's solo stuff. Because Johnny Burnett Trio, they only made that 10-inch EP, if I remember correctly, legitimately, you know. But they made bunches of stuff before then in Tennessee. I want to say 52, 53, but I digress. So this man being, I'm sorry, one of the founders of rock and roll and guitarists. I mean, let's face it. Okay, you know, we're talking about in that realm, him, James Burton. Okay, we can go on and on here, but Paul took the time out. So I read this letter. He goes, Paul, he goes, I really appreciate your interest. He goes, I decided to send you some stuff. He goes, before you look at it, the first thing is a bootleg. It is not real. And he goes, I don't even have a real copy because the thing is ridiculously expensive. Even in the mid-'80s, trying to find that Johnny Burnett Trio on, I think, Coral, right, was ridiculously expensive. And so I look at it, lo and behold, I am holding a bootleg, okay, or yeah, bootleg, right? I don't know. But he gave it to me. He gave it to me, okay, which is hilarious. And it looked beautiful. And he signed it to me. Oh, God. Forgive me. It appears my neighbors are fighting again outside. They like to take the shit outside. Shut up. Should I get my bullhorn and tell them to shut up? Don't answer that. That's rhetorical. So having that 10-inch LP, and he signed it to me because Johnny and Dorsey were dead by then. And I'm just like, this was so special. I almost wore that EP out, okay, through the remainder of the 80s. And then there was a new album that was coming out at the time, and he was involved in it. And it had former Sun people. It had Sonny Burgess, Malcolm Yelvington, Ray I'm tired. I'm sorry. But there was like the big names weren't there. It was the middle names, the mid card, if you will. And there was a big jam. That's what it was. And they put it on LP. I don't remember the label. I'm sorry, but it was mid 80s. All right. I want to say 84, 85. And he signs that to me too. And he sent me a very cool picture that I don't know where that went either. It was an 8x10 black and white because Johnny Burnett, the Johnny Burnett Trio, and Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran, or no, wait a minute. No, Eddie Cochran wasn't on that tour. I apologize. It was Johnny Burnett Trio and Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps in England. And if you remember right, yeah, Ray Smith. Thank you. Thank you. That's right. So, Gene's leg was already in a cast. That had to have been from, if I remember correctly, he had a motorcycle accident in the mid-50s before the 1960 car crash that really just made things all screwed up. Nick, good to see you here. I know we're talking about what some people would call old fart music. I consider it to be legendary classic stuff. So I want to say after that package, because I sent him a massive thank you note to Mr. Burleson, and I think I sent him a Christmas card that Christmas too. Yeah, I used to write Christmas cards. Remember those? Anyways, and that was kind of the end of it though. But so that was my son-related Paul Burleson story. See, eventually it comes to where it's supposed to. I appreciate the 7 people. There must be some other shows going on because I had up to about a dozen in here, and then people left. Either they're bored with me, or like I said, I know there was a record auction. I don't know if there still is. I know Royce is talking about something. Can you excuse me while I get some more coffee? I wish I had some theme music, but I have some LPs to show you, and I will be showing you those next. I have to be very careful here, ladies and gentlemen, because of my leg is just, it gets locked up sometimes, and it's not fun. It is not fun at all. That's right. Always powered by coffee, each and every time. That is the mighty Psycho promise to you. So I ended up finding this next album was, and as you guys know, I love my 50s music. I just said that. But one of my favorite 50s artists, yes, Cliff Gallup for sure. I'm telling you, the Capitol stuff, oh my God. Now I'll say this. Speaking of Gene for a second, I had the last two albums he did, like 70, 71. They were okay. Wasn't great, but they were okay. And I gave them to a friend. But I have never well, I take that back. I've come across Gene Vincent albums twice. One was a Yellow Label promo. One side, beautiful. The other side, scratched to holy hell. Now, I maybe would have bought it if it was like $1 or $2, because then I could say, okay, well, this is a copy. At least I got it until I can get a better copy. Ha ha ha. But no, they wanted, it was like 30 or 40 bucks. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not paying that. Not for that condition. I've come across a few heartbreakers, if you will, over the years when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then the second one, I can't remember the titles, which ones I found. But the second Gene Vincent one, once again, looked like it was stomped on by an elephant. And they wanted, I think it was like $12.99, and I'm going, no. The cover was like almost completely split. I'm like, you people are nuts. So, one of my favorite 50s artists, and I brought this up before, unfortunately passed away in 59. Very tragically. You already know, I think, who I'm going to go on this. But I didn't have this from January 1965 on Coral Records. There's your hint. Holly in the Hills, Buddy Holly. Now, this was the fifth post-death album. Posthumous? Anyways, so here's the front, here's the back. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's either Shanks or Sharks. I'd like to go back in time and slap them. But here's your beautiful Coral. This sucker is near minty. Okay, so what you're talking about in this kind of stuff, okay, is that in the mid-50s, even before he got signed to Decca, he was in a duo called Buddy and Bob. All right? That's why it says, sorry about the glare, Buddy Holly and Bob Montgomery. Now, the demos are dated 53 to 55. All right, that's the recordings. But there's also 64 to 65. And I know maybe, of course, you're saying, why? Why is it also 64, 65? Well, if you're a Buddy Holly collector, you're probably going to know the answer on this already. But if you don't, here's what we're talking about. So about 1961 or 62, if I remember correctly, another band that happened to be out in New Mexico, because as you maybe remember, Norman Petty's studio was in Clovis, New Mexico. Oh God, are you are like, you go to the head of the class. You are damn right. That's exactly, I know I'm long-winded. It is the Fireballs. The Fireballs overdubbed it like several sessions. That's why it's 64, 65. It couldn't be 65. This thing came out in January, so it had to be 64. So the Fireballs overdubbed Buddy and Bob. Okay? That's what we're going on that. So happy to have this in the collection. I I think that might be my last, yeah, because I got Reminiscing. Oh no, I don't have Buddy Holly's story. Not this version. They're showing that version. Now I have this version. I have a first press of that. And then it shows Showcase, which I recently acquired that in the last 6 weeks. Go figure. But this little baby, I have an OG. It's not in great shape. It's not. I mean, it does play okay, but it's a good holder copy till I can actually find another one. I found Buddy's first posthumous LP and my 49. You and the 49 cent, but you know what? You do so damn well with the 49 cents, Tim. What are some of the records you're looking for? You know, that's a very good question. That is a very good question. Hey, oh, look. Yes, you know what? Here's a guy here who is fucking awesome. He is. I will say fucking awesome. His show is fantastic. It really, really is. And I got to apologize to you. I do try to, because Saturday mornings are really crazy for me most days. I'm usually gone within the first hour. You know, that's about it, because I gotta hit the sack. That's how it is. But Grown Man Record Night, if you have not subbed to this gentleman, please do so. He had a solo show. Did you end up having people on last night? I know you were talking about it. I would have loved to have come on, to be honest with you. See, we got all the welcoming committee here. But, so, yeah, but for example, Nick, you were asking me where some of the records I'm looking for. Now, my buddy Doug Fields, okay, who was here in the same town, and he's collected 10 more years than me. I've collected 40 plus years. Doug has collected 50 plus years, all right? You'd think I'd have a very large collection, but unfortunately, like I said, due to my having to pay bills, due to this nonsense, I've been selling a lot of records off. I've probably sold a couple hundred. I'm not kidding. But one of the things I'm looking for example, and he does have it, I don't know if it's a duplicate for him, is the Decca LP, That'll Be the Day, from Buddy Holly. And I'm told it's an original press. And I'm like, I think I might have something to possibly use in trade on VJ from the 60s. No, it's not the Beatles. But, yeah. Good. That's good. You know, I hope you do that again, and I hope I can be on there next time, whenever that is. We love and appreciate what you do. You really, you know, school me pretty much. I gotta confess, as much as I do love metal, all right, there's a lot of metal I really don't know. Like industrial, death metal, black metal. I'm not going to get into black metal, though. To me, I think that's the truth. A lot of them say they're true Satanists, does black metal. I'm like, I don't want to listen to that. But death, you know, the death metal and the heavy metal and you know what I'm getting at, damn it. But eventually I'd love to, you know, deep dive into some of those things, you know. But my budget, of course, I guess I could just listen to it on YouTube. I don't like listening. I don't want to listen to Spotify. Okay, because I already heard about the Peter Frampton story. Oh my God. 55 million streams for one of his recordings, and he only got $1,700 from Spotify. $1,700. And this is why the music industry is bullshit. There's many players. We know this. You guys know this. I don't have to tell you. Even if I just did. But Nick, other things I'm looking for, of course, I'm looking for a mono copy of The Monkees, Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees from April 1968. I'm looking for a UK original mono Beatles White Album. I'm also looking for an original UK Let It Be box set, the original box set that came out. If I remember correctly, I think they said that box set was made in the UK through 1970 to 71, and then they discontinued it by spring of 72. So I'm fine with any of that. I just, you know, some of this stuff's high dollar stuff, you know, for some people. That's just all there is to it. So I'm always looking for things, always. So here's the other two that I came across. I sold, like I said, I sold a batch of records, and he always lets me. We're talking about Block Street Records, ladies and gentlemen, in Bentonville and Fayetteville, Arkansas. I would love to tell you they have a website. He doesn't. Mr. Pretentious, Wade himself, that's what I call him. He's a good guy, usually. But I don't know why he won't do online. So if you're ever into Northwest Arkansas, go visit Bentonville or Fayetteville Block Street Records locations. There. That was a Wade will thank me later, maybe. So, what did I get for almost free, if you will? I actually been looking for this album. I like this artist, and one of his last performances was here in this town. And the Jackass business across the street went to the city, and the city pulled the last couple shows from the season, and I was so pissed. Oh, did they? Oh, because you know what? I'd even settle for Canadian, seriously. But this gentleman died within 1 year after this. I got the November 1974, John Dawson Winter III. Oh, yes. Here's the front. Here's the back. Oh, yeah. You know, Rick Derringer, Dan Hartman. All the fun things, you know. But anybody care to guess maybe why I got this album from November 1974? Anyone? Bueller. How about I give you a small hint? One of the Beatles has something to do with this album. Anybody want to care to guess? John Dawson Winter III, November 1974, on Blue Sky. It's actually in, there's like, yeah, actually it's not too bad. I see one teensy scratch. That's it. Not too shabby. So, here, I'll show you this too. So we got, that's a nice little shot, huh? So let's see if I can read some of these off for a minute. So some of your lead players here, of course, like I said, Johnny Winter. You got Randy Joe Hobbs, okay, who was in the McCoys, okay, with Rick Derringer, all right. Mike Brecker, one of the Brecker brothers on tenor sax. Edgar Winter showing up on harpsichord. Yeah. So, okay. If I have look at you. Look who is trying to go to the head of the class. That is absolutely correct. Rock and Roll People is on that album. And ladies and gentlemen, Rock and Roll People, which is the first track on John Dawson Winter III, was written by John Lennon. Yeah, written by John Lennon, and he ends up doing it. Now, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong on this, didn't they end up releasing a demo on Menlo Avenue in the mid-'80s for John? I can't remember, because I don't have Menlo Avenue. I don't have that one. I know there was some alternate Walls and Bridges, alternate takes and things like that, and stuff. So much for that Sometime in New York City box set, huh? They didn't really promise it anyway, but I mean, it's not one of his better records, but I was kind of hoping that would have came out, and I don't know, I keep hearing that, I mean, we all know that the George Harrison releases, you know, they're going to be re-cranked up again on Dark Horse, and I'm like, hopefully we're going to get maybe an album of something. I know that there is an actual rumor going around, but they're trying to do a compilation, if you will. Personally, I would love to get, and I don't know if it went on vinyl, and if it did, I never saw it around here. If they ever did because in the U.S. they did not make it on vinyl. I heard in Europe they might have, and that would be the George Harrison Live in Japan from '91, the tour where it's basically George and Eric Clapton and his band. Okay. Better version got played on the Lost Lennon. Oh, I love the Lost Lennon tapes. You know, I remember South Park. I remember, but I do remember listening to the Lost Lennon tapes. WXRT in Chicago. They were the ones that aired. They were very Beatle friendly. They were friendly on a lot of different radio shows. I've told you guys in the past that they would play King Biscuit. Flower Hour was XRT. So, but yeah, so that's why I got the Johnny Winter. See, my little record collector guy, he knows his stuff, but it seems like I even school him a little sometimes. I'm not saying I know it all. Fuck, I don't know nothing. I'm just an idiot record collector that's been around 40 years. And you know, that's the thing about our hobby. We're always learning something, aren't we? It never ends. The hobby never ends, and the knowledge doesn't either. So this next one I'm going to show you from 1971, if I remember correctly. One of my favorite Southern boogie bands. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, wait a minute, Southern boogie? Why not Southern rock? I really don't honestly put them in the Southern rock category. I really kind of don't, because it is more Southern boogie. They're from the South, and it is a boogie band. And they made a bunch of stuff. New album they just put out literally a couple weeks ago from 1971. From Black Oak, Arkansas. If an angel came to see you, would you make her feel at home? Little goofy album cover, right? And I hated the Unipacks. I'm not going to lie. It drives me nuts, said the pirate with the steering wheel coming out of his pants. But on this one, though, oh yeah, that's right. This is the first album that Tommy Aldridge is on playing drums. Of course, nice. It's we have a bunch of feather scratches, but nothing that looks too deep. But yeah, let's see. Gravel Roads is on here. I remember them playing that. Oh, Mutants of the Monster. That's another one that that Black Oak's known for. I really do like this band. I do. I don't know why, and it goes beyond Jim Dandy. Okay, everybody knows Jim Dandy, but you know, there's a lot more to the Black Oak catalog than what people realize. One of my favorites is Lord Have Mercy on My Soul / When Electricity Came to Arkansas. The unit, yeah. That's funny. I like that. I never heard that. See, and look, even he's that's great. That's great. Thanks, Mike. I never Cuba record. So Black Oak. I had the pleasure of meeting Jim Dandy and Ricky Lee Reynolds. The new album that came out a couple weeks ago is called. And I kept wondering. I'm like, you know, is this the revenge that I had? Because on one of the episodes of Jukebox from Hell, I went off and spotlighted Black Oak's 1978 album, I'd Rather Be Sailing, because the title of the new Black Oak album, and it's all covers, by the way, again, it's called The Devil's Jukebox. The Devil's Jukebox. And I'm going, Oh, okay. I just never came across it. But you know what? Tim, I'm glad you brought me back to point, because there was something, once again, my ADD-addled brain. I am told that the Harrison, whoever's working the Harrison archives, and from what I've heard, there's a bunch of work on this. But we could possibly see in 24. Anybody want to take a guess at what I'm going to tell you? What supposedly we may get a release of? You never heard it legitimately before. 50, but we're talking 50 years. What happened in 74? Bueller? Bueller. I am told that they have 5 to 6 of the 1974 George Harrison tour shows, and they are trying to compile through the best of those half dozen, if you will, shows to get your set list, and it would be released, I'm told, as a single album. But you know what? I could see them, because Ravi Shankar was the opening act, I could see them trying to put this into a double LP so that you're there in 74, because Ravi was the opening act. And would do these 20-minute long, obviously you're not going to get a whole Ravi act, and that's fine, because a little Ravi goes a long way. But yeah, so supposedly, knock on wood, we may get a live 74 George Harrison legitimate release on Dark Horse next year. I hope so, actually. I hope so. Because that band, I knew some people that went to those gigs, and I've also read from people that were at those gigs that they have crackerjack band. And Billy Preston was there too. And I'm like, you can't go wrong if you got damn Billy Preston there. Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying, Tim. I'm told that they've got audio of 5 or 6 shows. I don't know. So maybe we won't get a whole one. You know what? I'll settle for an EP. A very strong EP. See what I did there? So it's like, if they could just only come up with like 5 or 6 songs, the best of it, then fine, we have it out. That's all that counts for me. Deutsche Grammophon has put out a few good Ravi records. By the way, I'm not knocking Ravi. I will have to show you guys sometime the Ravi I do have, because I've got 2 releases on Apple. One of them was that In Concert movie soundtrack. I've got it. I found both of those copies. They were in the same box at a library book sale in the 90s. I think I've had these since the 90s. 50 cents a piece. And they looked like they never were played. Probably for good reason at that time. If I knew where they exactly were, I'd go get them. But I think I know. Yeah, you're right. That is the time that George's voice got shot. Now, I don't remember as far as for what tour date that it started getting to that point, or maybe it was early on, but it varied. So that's the reason why. I mean, if they're really working on these tapes, they're working on these tapes. I mean, they can do wonders. Obviously, we're knowing this now with the then and now bit that we're going to get, wherever that's going to land between now and the end of the year. Oh, God. No, because I'm told the band is kick-ass. There's no problem with the band, so it would be, hey, George Harrison? Oh, no, we don't want that. My sweet Lord, we don't want that. See what I did there? So that's what I've heard, okay? Don't take it as gospel from the mighty Psycho. But I'd like to hear it. I know there's some pretty shitty bootlegs out there of the 74 stuff. And Yeah, I wouldn't get the bootlegs. Let's just say that. Save your money for, I'm trying to come up with a smart ass thing. Save your money for all the Metallica Saint Anger outtakes and see, what the hell else can I throw up there? Lulu. Lulu. Yeah, see, save your money for that shit. No, I don't think so. Lou Reed did another shitty album too. I'm trying to remember. It was an 80s album. If anybody remembers, put it in the comments. I think Machine, was it Metal Machine? It's something Machine, okay? And that's a shit. I've heard some of that. That's a shit album. You know, to go from being one of the founders of Velvet Underground to Walk on the Wild Side to, you know, and then he ends up in the 80s. I'm like, oh my. I'm just not a big fan of Lou's 80s work. His 70s stuff is fine. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. And you know what? I gotta put that down real quick. Because that's going to be a future jukebox from hell. I'm going to tell you that right now. If I can find a copy, I'm going to make a jukebox from hell. You know what, Tim? I agree with you. I would like to hear that. I really, really would. Because yeah, I mean, that band I heard was a crackerjack band. They were cooking, and you know, it's just kind of too bad that, you know, McCartney ended up. Yeah, no, I get it what you're saying. That McCartney ended up, you know, giving them. Like, okay, in the hierarchy of things, even though back then, up until what 74 was maybe when Paul started making some money. But you know, those first couple of years, you know, like you said, 72, 73, they weren't making very much. All right, and you know, for McCulloch and Sewell, their beef was legitimate. It was legitimate, okay? You know, I mean, sure, I'm not going to make Paul money. You know, I mean, even if they were to get, because, I mean, Denny Lane made a little more than the other two, okay? But Sewell and McCulloch, they had experience, you know, and okay, I'm not a big fan of Ram and Red Rose Speedway, the complete albums, okay? I like bits from both. I always like Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey, and I will sing that in the car whether I'm alone or not. And I'm like, hands across the water. I'm like, I gotta do it. I just gotta do it. And let's see, Another Day. Yeah, I like Another Day. And then, you know, yeah, My Love was schmaltzy, but I mean, because I'm trying to think here. Okay, was Live and Let Die? Was that the last song that they did? Did Live and Let Die come out before Red Rose, or was it the other way around? I can't remember right now, because they both came out in 73. But, I mean, yeah, that's what I heard. And wasn't Henry, at one point or another, in Joe Cocker and the Grease Band? I think so. Get this. I don't know what I did with the album, but Henry made a solo album in the late 70s, of all places, on Dark Horse. I had a promo copy of that at one point or another. The album's not bad. It's really not. If I still have it, I'll bring that out sometime, too. Okay. So then, Live and Let Die was the last bit. Although I heard, but they may not have taped anything, but I am led to believe that a couple of the songs for Band on the Run were at least written in that time period also. It would have been funny if there would have at least demoed, but if it's in there, if it's in those McCartney vaults, because I would like to hear, I thought I heard it was like 2 or 3 songs. It's not much. But, to me, like when I went to the record store to sell the records this week, he had the whole Band on the Run album on the turntable. And I'm listening to it again. And I'm going to say, truthfully, that it's a near perfect album. It is a near perfect album for McCartney. And that might be the only time I can say that. As far as for his stuff, Macca's stuff, I think Band will always be tops, but Back to the Egg is another one that I really love, and I want that deluxe treatment, that in London Town, but I ain't holding my breath. I think we may have to wait till Macca's dead before we actually get in. And that's the other thing. Not that we really kind of give a shit about this, but Linda's dead, of course, so it's not like a Yoko John situation or, Yoko Sean John situation where they could curate the tapes and look around and things. So for the McCartney estate, if he were to, let's say, die tomorrow, and they start pulling things together, who's in control of the tapes, of the archives for McCartney? That's a good, solid question, because you got to have a good guy to do it. Okay, I heard Sean's doing a good job for the John stuff. Danny Harrison doing a good for George's stuff. It makes you wonder, to tell you the honest truth. When Paul dies, who's going to take care of all that stuff? But I want to see, before I'm dead, a London Town and a Back to the Egg Deluxe. I definitely will buy the Back to the Egg Deluxe. I don't know about London Town. London Town is not really one of my favorites. Although, when with a little luck we can... No, we're not going to sing that. The willow turns its back on inclement weather. Good harmonies on that song, though. But I don't think anybody wants to hear 22 outtakes, because McCartney liked to do shit tons. I don't think we want to hear 142 takes of Morse Moose and the Grey Goose. Oh my, Heather's fake leg. Draw a face on it. Put a toupee. I don't know, Michael. That's what I'm wondering. Would it be Stella or would it be James? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that all the releases from those who have passed in Rockestra. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Rockestra. I always forget about Rockestra. Okay, and you're right. There's a shit ton. I mean, there's a lot of people dead from that. Well, I don't. That's why I'm saying I don't know. I'm thinking. Okay, so hold on a second. So you've got Stella, you got Mary, you got James, and then Beatrice. Is that Heather Mills' kid with them? I can't remember. I'm getting confused. But needless to say, I'm thinking either James. Or Mary, and there's Heather too, right? Heather. I forgot almost Heather because Heather's in the Get Back film. But so a lot of kids, but I think it's going to go to either James or Mary or both. They could combine to stuff. That's what I'm thinking. You 14 people are being very patient. Would you let me go get some more coffee? Don't run away. I don't know. Look at my son box for a second while I come back. Oh, this is not getting any better. Oh, I have some painkillers, but they really don't do me justice. And I'm not talking the 1996 Monkees album either. And in this case, it's not Justice for All, which, of course, that's a Metallica matter we won't talk about today. Yes. Brought to you by Jethro Tull. No, all right, maybe not. Maybe Jethro Tull didn't sponsor it. Ta-da! I think Mary will be the curator for Paul. She seems to be the most, and you know what? I would actually go towards that point. I mean, she's done a lot of the interviews with him and things like that. Probably not. Hey, Beatrice, you get it. How old would Beatrice be? Did she hit being teenager? I don't know. See how much I gave a shit about the Heather Mills? I thought that was a big mistake. I think everybody that was McCartney like, Macca, you screwed up. But you know what? Here's the thing. We've all had bad marriages, bad relationships. You know, we all made a misstep. Hopefully you learned something in the process. He seems to really be happy with this Nancy. At least that's what I think. But then again, I also heard that one of Nancy's relatives is allegedly related to the mob over in New York, New Jersey. I don't know how true that is. I think Stella with Logic and Logical, she owns a company. And Mary, what has James done lately? You know, that's true. That is true. I don't know, really. Didn't he cut a record? Didn't James make a record finally? Or something like that? I don't know. Oh, here's another one. Let's talk about this. You know, if Paul died, Dolan would be one of the... If he's watching, good. If not, watch this, Dolan. I can't... Damn it, where's Beans when I need him? So he could go up and imitate Richard Dolan calling Paul McCartney's estate, MPL Communications, wanting a job in the vault. Richard would shit himself many times over. But then again, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? With being that, I mean, he's a mega fan. All right? Nothing wrong with that. I'm a mega Monkees fan. So saying that, I have to tell you of two interesting things. One of them you're probably already going to know about because if you belong to my Facebook page, I shared the music video a couple days ago. There's going to be a new EP coming from, what number is this, Chip? 7A. That's right. New EP from 7A Records. I am not kidding. This is not April Fool's. It is a 4-track EP. Mickey Dolenz sings REM. And if you haven't heard, there is a video. Go look at it on YouTube after you're done watching me, where he tackles Shiny Happy People. It's not bad. I'll tell you that right now. And you get to see some unreleased old footage involving Mickey. So that'd be kind of cool. Oh, okay. Early 20s. If Richard ran the archive, Michael Jackson would want, oh, good. See, I like what you did there. You get points for that. Well, see, would it be into the ground or off the ground? See what I did there? All right. Everybody's like, Psycho, you crazy piece of shit. Well, I am. But yeah, so Mickey Dolenz sings REM. I'll probably get it. I'm trying to remember the other tracks on it. But there's a nice start. And by the way, if you are a Mickey Dolenz fan, they have announced Beatland Books they are taking pre-orders for Mickey's book, his volume 1 of I Was Told I Had a Really Good Time, which would be from his birth year to 1977. They're cutting it off at that because there will be supposedly a volume 2. Now, I can't afford any of this right now. I wish I could, because, I mean, I don't need a signed edition. I'll take the cheapy, well, it's not cheap, but the $75 if you get a pre-order, because it'd be $100 after the pre-order. But I would sell for $75 like I do at the Monkeys Day by Day from Sandoval. Because Sandoval has got involvement in this Mickey book too. And they did show 1 or 2 photographs that I've never seen before, and they were from the '67 tour. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think that it is interesting, and I actually like it. Yeah, he is, isn't he? But you know what? I'm so glad he's still here. And here's the thing, too. I always liked Mickey's voice. Even if the song was shit, Mickey's voice always sounded pleasant. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah, Mickey could wear a white suit on the EP cover and call it the White Star. Oh, dear God. All right. I get that. Yeah, that go boy. Oh, boy. Can you imagine Mickey trying to tackle 7 Nation Army? Or Elephant. Or Icky Thump. Oh, God, Icky Thump. Can you imagine Mickey now in your head singing, "You can't be a pimp and a prostitute, too"? I would laugh my ass off if he ever did a version of Icky Thump. Well, yeah. They in the interview, they mentioned REM were huge fans of the Monkees. That's why they were very happy that Mickey went and did this project. And I like REM. Okay, I like the first, from like the first album to like, all right, the, oh man. The one from the mid-90s with Drive, and there's a handful of Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight. Help me out here, guys. What's the name of that damn thing? Because the title of that album, it's mid-90s REM, okay? Because it's the one before Monster. Because Monster had a decent song, What's the Frequency, Kenneth. I like that. But I don't like a lot of Monster. It's kind of like, that's where they kind of screwed up. But for me, that album that I told you, like Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight, John Paul Jones from Zeppelin does some orchestral arrangements for that song. Bet you didn't know that, huh? There's your Led Zeppelin REM moment you want to use for a bar bet. The last time I saw Michael Stipe, he was looking a lot. Oh, boy. All right, for the people, thank you. Thank you. You know, my brain is not doing so good anymore. I love that album, though. Seriously. And then, of course, I like the couple songs that were on the Man on the Moon soundtrack for Jim Carrey's Andy Kaufman. I think my favorite of the two, though, is Great Beyond. I love Great Beyond, but Man on the Moon's good too. But for some reason, I really like Great Beyond better. And I saw the videos for both of them many, many moons ago. And once in a while, my stupid little radio station, our corporate radio station, will actually play either of those songs. And I love it because it wakes me up a little bit. Yeah. I think Automatic for the People was like a hell of a record. Maybe eventually, did they reissue it on vinyl? Because if they did, I would probably go and, I'm not a big person for reissues, but in this case I'd have to, considering that in 94, 95, that album came out, that they didn't make any damn vinyl albums in the US for that. Yeah, I know what you're going on this too, because I still can't get over. So what he's talking about is that there was a nutcase that ran up to Dan Rather. I don't know if it was out in the streets or whatever, and he yells out, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?" And Dan Rather is like, what the fuck? And I'm going, see, that's the thing. Songs can come out of anything. It's fun, especially when it's true events, or at least allegedly true events in some cases. Oh, good. All right. Well, thanks for telling me that. I'll end up, I mean, obviously I can't really afford anything right now, but eventually that's on my never-ending vinyl want list. I do definitely want to get Automatic for the People on vinyl. As far as for REM, I've got a handful of CDs, and I did a trade with a friend of mine. I picked up for 99 cents a double bootleg of REM. And they fucked up at this store. They did, because they charged this. They bought, like, this guy had 5 or 6 REM bootlegs, and they were individually priced from $79 to $99. I'm like, forget that shit. But they left this one at 99 cents, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the condition of both albums. They were great looking. The sleeves were with them. And I played it. It was a early 80s Atlanta gig. I want to say 82, 83. Wasn't bad. I don't have too many bootlegs in my collection of anything anymore. I remember, if you ever did buy a bootleg, what was your first bootleg? Do you remember what your first bootleg was? I do, actually, and it was John Lennon's Teddy Boy. That was my first bootleg I ever got, and I got it dirt cheap. And that's the fun thing about bootlegs. You're like a fly on the wall sometimes. You didn't get to hear some of this stuff. I love unreleased. I'm not a big fan of alternate takes unless it's radically different. Okay, but unreleased or live, you betcha. Another one of my favorite early bootlegs I got was the complete Budokan for Cheap Trick. Because if you remember, when Live at Budokan came out in 78, I have a Japanese press, by the way, an OG Japanese press on me, because if I remember correctly on this is how weird this is. So the Japan press has your Target Epic, if you remember that orange label. So your OG press comes with that, and if I remember correctly, it came with a picture book. That's all included. I found it dirt cheap, but I almost missed it. I'm like, wait a minute, why does this feel a little heavier? And that's when I looked. But what I'm getting at is that when they put out Live at Budokan in 78 in Japan, and maybe it was 79 in the US, it was not the complete show. It was like 3/4. And at that time, the complete Budokan had those extra tracks on there. So it was fun to hear that extra stuff. And then I ended up selling this to another record collector, but I found, of all things, in the mid-80s, mind you, a double bootleg. And it was recorded on my birthday, September 27th, back in 1982, Stray Cats. Yeah, a Stray Cats boot. And it wasn't bad. It was not bad. My bootlegs were all, Aerosmith. Aerosmith. No Joey Kramer. No Joey Kramer on this tour, in case people don't know. So you've got 4/5 of the original lineup. I cannot remember who the hell is playing drums for them in this last tour. Joey is still a member of Aerosmith, but he has bowed out due to health concerns. So in a way, it's parallel to the Bunny Carlos Cheap Trick thing, but in a way, it's not. If you go to the merch table at a Aerosmith concert, I saw this. I am in a few autograph collection groups. They took pictures of the merch table. You can get a band signed with Joey on there too, of either the reissues, either Toys in the Attic or Pump. That's the only selections you've got. Now, $750. I'm like, bullshit. I ain't paying $750. I maybe would have paid $100. Yeah, I would have paid $100 for a band signed Aerosmith. So just letting you know that. And My first bootleg was a Beatles Abbey Road boot. Paul in the studio with Donovan was outside. Oh, that would have been fun. Just started going through the Lifehouse. Oh, yes, that box. I would eventually, hopefully, get that box because, remember I was talking about earlier about perfect albums? The Who's Next, in my opinion, is a perfect album. A perfect album would determine is if you do not get up to lift the tone arm to change it to another track. Now, obviously, you got to flip it from side one to side two when the time comes, but to me, it's a perfect album if you don't have to do that. Who's Next is one of those. My first bootleg, Jimi Hendrix, You Can't Use My Name. Now, let me ask you, excuse me, was that the one where, oh God, the live recording at the scene and somehow with Jim Morrison, is it that one? I actually remember that comeback, not in '69, but God, what? Oh, okay. So my first Beatle bootleg, I remember this now. It was an orange cover, and it was an alternate photo shoot from the August '69, where the Hey Jude album cover comes from. But each Beatle is in a different window in this brick house, and the album was called "Have You Heard the Word?" because they tried to pawn that off as a Beatle song, but it really was Tintin with one of the Gibb brothers from the Bee Gees. Nice. Okay, no, all right. Nice. That's nice when it's a bigger selection like that. But yeah, so bootlegs can be fun. So I'll tell you this. I did not know for many years that the Monkees in the 80s had bootlegs. I had a dear friend of mine named Michelle. I hope she's doing good. I haven't talked to her, oh God, in close to 5-6 years maybe. We were friends on Facebook, and then I think she left Facebook. But she showed me the bootlegs that she bought. She bought them. She was such a huge Monkees fan. And I got to listen to some of it back then on her turntable, and it blew my mind. That was the first time I ever heard All Your Toys. That was 1984-85. Was the first time I heard that song before it went on Missing Links. Just started listening to them. Oh yeah, like on Apple Music. Teenage Wasteland is very different from Bob. Oh boy, that's going to be fun. Sorry, hit send instead of X, but that's okay. The title comes from Jimmy telling the producer not to put his name on the. Oh no. Was some of that stuff, okay, well, the under contract, would that be the Curtis Knight thing? The Curtis Knight contract with PPX back then? Oh boy, those albums are, I had one of them. Get That Feeling? Was that what it's called on Capitol? Oh, was that a stretch? That was a stretch. One of Jim's worst was, yeah, no shit. That isn't that how they had to release Cry of Love? Wasn't that the reason? Yeah. Cry of Love, I think, was like the Get Off My Fucking Back contract for the LP of that. Excuse me. Oh, is that right? Wow. So it's sketchy then. Because God, I know when it came to that kind of stuff, they kept reissuing that shit 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, hell, I even think in the early 90s, I remember seeing some rehash of that. And of course, they're still doing it on vinyl. Okay, that's right. Not Cry of Love. Duh. I'm a dumbass. That's right. I don't know why I thought that. But I'll tell you one thing though, okay? So Focusing now, remember early 80s, I'm a Beatles fan. I'm a big Beatles fan. And there was a quasi-legal label out of the UK that released the Decade tapes. And I'm like, because I never heard him. That was in 82. I remember that because it was 20 years. And I did spend my money to get that because I wanted to hear it. And for some reason, though, I don't know if it was like, it wasn't complete. It's like, it was kind of weird, though. They had like 2 different releases, and I'm like, whatever. But, you know, just getting to hear that audition tape, they were not ready. You know, looking back on that, they were not ready. They were close. They were extremely close. And you know, Pete Best was he was competent, but he was the weakest link, as they would say. Not insulting Pete, but that was the case. I'm glad that Pete kind of got some retribution through the Anthology 1 release. I'm told he got £250,000. That's what I thought I heard after everything was all said and done. He got £250,000 for the contributions. I think that's nice. At least they kind of sort of, yeah. The Atmos mix of Who's Next is amazing. It's not a ported version of the 70s. Oh, Quadman, okay. Ooh, all right. Yes, and I remember those picture discs. There was, I don't know if this is going to be the same picture disc that you got, Tim, but they put them out in several versions. Like, there was one I remember, it was the Decade tapes were on a picture disc, the nice, beautiful promo shot from 62. And then there was a white vinyl was the disc 2. Now, I don't know if it was the same stuff. And then the third disc was signed by Pete Best, and it was an interview disc based about the life of the Beatles from 60 to 62. So, there. Yes, he did. And you know what? I'm glad. Good for him. As far as from a record collecting standpoint, I know that he never released an album in the 60s in the US. I don't know if he ever did in the UK, but he released a bunch of singles. Now, I only ever came across his take on Boys. That was the only 45 with the picture sleeve. I found that in the 80s. I'm like, holy crap, I wish I still had it. My second boot was Get Back to Toronto in late 69, and it included The Walk. Nice. Talk about a slapdash affair. Give Peace in Toronto, the Plastic Ono Band. John and Yoko and Eric and Claus and Andy White. Alan White, excuse me. No, yeah. All going over there. I'm telling you, just to be in that audience and not see that coming, and then there he is. The one I had as the famous picture. Oh yeah. Okay. God, I remember seeing that shot on a different picture disc bootleg. What the hell was it called? Oh, it's Casualties. Casualties. Picture disc uses. Yeah, it's the promo pick for by the Seaside for a TV special, if I remember correctly. Was it Morecambe and Wise? I don't know. Yeah, no kidding. Well, yeah. Maybe he should have. Just maybe. I like Clapton. Don't get me wrong. From the Yardbirds to John Mayall, Blues Breakers, to Cream. Now, I know that some of those Cream songs are played ad nauseum. But this was in the last week, I intently listened to White Room when it came out on the radio in my local classic rock. And it's a fucking awesome song. Just the way it's constructed. I'm just like, it's just too bad that the tension was between Jack and Ginger. Imagining taking a solo while staring at him. Oh, good God. Yeah, I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it. Nope. But Clapton, though, like I said, so Cream, Derek and the Dominoes, 461, Ocean Boulevard. I like all that stuff. I really do. But then it kind of wanes off for me. Seriously. I showed on here many, many moons ago. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it on YouTube. It's an interesting record. No Reason to Cry from '76. You've got Eric, you've got the band, and Bob Dylan. I think Ringo may even be on a track too. All on that record. Excuse me. No, I'm not sick. But you know what? I think we're going to wind this down. I love you guys. I always do. And once again, please, if you're able to donate, I give you an extreme thank you. If not, well wishes and prayers are always welcomed. In my GoFundMe, under Paul Pease, P-E-A-S-E, that's me, and it is basically a post-surgery, I think I called it post-surgery emergency fund. It's the only Kickstarter I got. The last one I did was for my late wife Jessica to help pay the medical bills, which that helped back about almost 5 years ago. So if you can gladly do that, that'd be beautiful. I will put a link either in the description of the video here or the comments after the video is over. But let's see here. My opinion, yeah, it is a very good record. Yeah, well, yeah, I do like Hello, Old Friend. I do. But I just want you guys to take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Okay? I know I'm sounding weird, right? But I never had any problems with anesthesia, but they're going to be putting me under very major on this coming Thursday, okay, for this. And I'm kind of nervous, I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to be dramatic, far from it. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. I know that it's going to hurt for the first few weeks. Oh boy. Tim, have you heard the alternate mix? So, all right. I love you guys very much. And you guys take care of yourselves. And as we wind ourselves down here. Like I said, if you haven't gone and seen any Jukebox from Hell episodes and you're bored, just watch one. Maybe you might learn something new. Like I said before, in our little vinyl community and our record collecting, we always learn something new. There's never, we know everything. No. That's not the case. All right, guys. I love you. Take care. God bless. Rock on. Always powered by coffee each and every time. That's the mighty Psycho promise. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know when my next broadcast is going to be. I'm going to be stuck in Springfield, Missouri for a week. That is their requirement. And then, so I don't know, it might be a good 2 weeks before I even get back on at the earliest to do any videos if I can, if I feel up to it. Might be short spurts. I said spurt, and or something. Okay. Thanks, guys. You take care of yourselves. And yes, Godspeed. Godspeed indeed. I love you guys. Good night.